Hey, what's up Loki fans? Thanks so much for clicking on the video. Today I am going to show you how I 3D printed and painted the Loki God of Stories crown. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand these two pieces where they join together. One, just to make sure they're flat, and then second, just to make sure that the glue has a little something to grab onto rather than just this flat edge. I gave both of these about 24 hours to dry and cure. So now I'm going to start hitting them with 80 grit on the palm sander. And then once I'm going to get up to 180, 220 or so, and then I'm going to work on eliminating these seams right here with a little bit of Bondo. Alright, the 60, 120, and 180, or was it 220, are done. As you can see here, if I can get it to focus, the seam is a lot better. You kind of see in the dark area right there. I'll put up a better image of it, but now we're going to even make this even better by using this old thing of Bondo, if I can get anything out of it. If I can't, I have a new one, but we're just gonna put a light little coat around the seam and then give it an hour or so and sand it down. While we wait for the Bondo and the two horns to dry, we're gonna get started on the crown piece. We're gonna do exactly what we did with the horns, and we're gonna start at 60 grit, work our way to 120, and then 220. I did figure something out with the crown a little bit. Turns out, kind of common sense I guess, but if you use your sponge, which is pretty flexible, you can really use it to get in those cracks and just apply a little bit of muscle, and it does a pretty good job. Let me show you a little bit closer. For the Bondo on the horns, we can use the same exact sheet of 220 that we've been using on the rest of the print. And you don't really want to apply much pressure here. You just want to lightly run it across, just like this. For some reason, I have been waiting to attach the horns, and I realized that I have to do everything that I did here. So now I'm gonna have to repeat all those steps that I've already done for both sides. So. Alright, now is when stuff really starts coming together. We're going to be using a full tube of Bondo, and we're going to be thinning it down with acetone. We're pretty much going to be doing what we did earlier when we were trying to get rid of the seams. We're thinning it down to a paint-like consistency. It's easier to apply, and then you can sand it much quicker. I waited an hour for the horns. This you wait, I normally wait like 20 minutes, but even that's probably overkill. You could probably wait like 5 or 10. So we're gonna mix this, and then we're gonna get to applying it. Alright, so I finally finished sanding the crown. That was probably one of the more tedious sanding jobs I've ever done because of all the grooves I showed you earlier. I don't know if you can see it back there, but now we're gonna throw the primer on it. We're gonna be doing one light coat of this primer, and then we're gonna be doing 2 heavy coats, waiting 30 minutes in between the heavy coats. So let's go. Alright, so I don't remember if I said this or not, but typically I give about 48 hours for the primer to cure on my pieces. But sometimes you procrastinate, and this one's probably been more like 2 weeks. But we're finally gonna work on it. So tonight I'm gonna work on etching in what's eventually gonna be the gold lines on the black crown. And then after that, we're gonna have to sand this entire piece once again, just to prime it again, and then finally after that we'll be close to painting it. So when I finished carving in the grooves of the crown, I went back with some sandpaper and my trusty little snips just to kind of cut off the little spots that the soldering iron pushed up the plastic. I wasn't really sure how it would work, but it worked pretty well, and still have a couple spots here and there that I missed. But so now that that's done, I'm gonna put another layer of primer, a heavy layer of primer on the crown, and then finally after that we'll finally hopefully be able to paint. So the absolute last thing that we have to do with the crown before we can finally paint it is wet sand it. Typically I use 400 grit, but I'm gonna use 600 grit because this is the best thing I can find. And also, normally I will do this outside, but today my wife's not home, so I'm gonna use the kitchen sink, and she'll never find out about it because I'm pretty sure she doesn't watch my videos, but hopefully she doesn't. But let's wet sand the crown. Alright, the base coat for this is incredibly simple. It is just matte black. And then after the black is dried and cured, we're gonna go over the crack portion with some kind of color gold that I have not decided on yet. And then we're gonna hit it with a satin finish. It's finally time to add the gold to the cracks of the crown. I tried this a couple different ways. My initial plan was to airbrush the gold into the cracks and then use paint thinner to go back and wipe the excess, which worked, but I didn't factor in the fact that the gold also has gold flake in it. And while I wiped away the actual paint, it didn't wipe away the gold flake. So I had to go back to the drawing board, and what I decided on was this liquid chrome gold paint pen. And this pen is two-sided. One side is very thin, while the other side is quite thick. We're going to be using the thin side just to paint the inside of the cracks, and this should work very well.